they are less poisonous and so on. So maybe, who knows? But I claim, it's an empirical thesis, maybe I'm wrong, but unfortunately I don't think I'm wrong. I claim we are mostly buying because it makes you feel good. You see, I bought it organic, I did something for Mother Earth, I'm actually doing something, I'm part, you know, it makes you feel so good that you are part of this great movement of doing. You buy this authentic social experience. I claim people more buy because of that. And even if we go to the end, this really disgusts me, is disgusting for me. You know, all these posters or TV clips to help charity business, to help, for example, children in Africa, usually have this disgusting manipulation. A black child with some horrible disfiguration and so on of face, and then the message, for a price of a couple of cups of cappuccino, you can change the life of this kid, and so on and so on. But I think if we read a little bit cynically this message, what is the true message of this ad? It's basically this one. We have still our nice lives, we know people are suffering out there. What we offer you is, for a price of a couple of cups of cappuccino, you can do your duty and feel well and forget about doing, really, how should I put it? It offers you an easy way out. And this is, I think, the attract. I claim we are giving charity not so much to really help people, but to get rid of the problem, no? You give people charity so that they stay where they are, far away, if possible. No? So, what I'm claiming is that this kind of analysis would have been properly Hegelian. I hope you noticed that I used here terms of, this would be the elementary triad from the real properties to this symbolic redoubling status, then finally to this reflexivity where what you are buying is your own experience. This also, if we were to develop it further, we don't have time, would have brought us to the problem of self-consciousness. This all, what, you know, when Hegel talks about self-consciousness, you should, and you know, then he makes often these statements which may appear ridiculously exaggerated, like the state is the self-consciousness of a society or whatever. No, what he doesn't mean in this literal sense that the state is some kind of a mega subject who is mystically conscious of itself. He just means self-consciousness in the self of self-awareness, but again, even the word self-awareness is not right. It's more in the sense of reflexive registration. For example, drinking Starbucks coffee would be, for Hegel, an experience of self-consciousness, ideological self-consciousness. Why? Because, as they make you aware, it's not just your direct relation to coffee, but by drinking it, you, in a reflexive way, register or participate in an entire ethics. You make an ideological statement, embodied in your way of life itself. And okay, we can go here endlessly in examples, like we know that a commodity is never just a commodity, it always stands for a certain ethics, a certain way of life. Now it's different, but even 40, 50 years ago, to have jeans in Europe meant identification with a certain American individualism and so on and so on. This is for Hegel self-consciousness. This reflexive social message always inscribed into a commodity. And this has nothing to do with self-consciousness in the sense of your direct awareness of it. I'm even tempted to say, and Lacan sometimes, when he gets over his cheap criticism of Hegel, he says it, that Hegel's self-consciousness is in a way his name for the unconscious. Lacan uses a wonderful term somewhere, I think, I'm not sure it's in the seminar Lamberti, La Psychoanalysis 17 for these courses, where he says self-consciousness is an object. What does this mean? An object, I would say, like a symptom. Let us say, a primitive aggressive example, I here pretend to like to talk with you and so on and so on. Then let's say I were to make a slip, a Freudian slip, whose interpretation would easily disclose that I am tired of you and so on and so on. And let's say that I'm not aware of that. I still enthusiastically, at my level of awareness, think I like to be here, but through symptom, I would, you see my point? This symptom would be my self-consciousness, in the sense of it would reflexively register where I really stand, even if I'm not aware of it. So again, okay, now this just as a beginning, beginning, yeah. To give you an idea that there is a different Hegel. Now let's do some serious work. First, nonetheless, your reaction, and I quite understand it, if this is your reaction. Your reaction would have been here, okay, these are nice, contingent, improvised examples, but the basic thing is not Hegel some kind of absolute idealist, using this language of total conceptual mediation of reality and so on and so on, and can we really be Hegelians today? I mean, I will try to formulate this in a very serious philosophical way, in a proper philosophical mode of historicity, not historicism. It is that didn't nonetheless something happen after Hegel which did signal that we are in a new epoch, where simply you cannot any longer be naively Hegelian. Some kind of a break out of this idea that the conceptual mediation, the self-reflection of idea, can cover the entire reality. We have first Schopenhauer, this idea that beneath logos there is a will, an irrational foundation of life, which cannot be again caught into or deployed through the self-mediation of idea. Schelling says in a way the same thing, the abyss of the pre-logical will. Kierkegaard, he insists on the uniqueness of faith and subjectivity, which again escape the notional mediation. Marx asserts the actual socio-economic life process, again as something with relation to which the sphere of ideas, concepts is just a kind of ideological reflection, representation, a theater of shadows. Then we have Freud, death drive. Death drive as precisely a blind repetition which resists all the dialectical mediation. Not to mention about modern mathematicized natural sciences, which obviously don't fit the Hegelian frame. So, this is for me a very serious good argument against Hegel, that in spite of all things still useful in Hegel, simply something happened. And we cannot play the innocents by still remaining Hegelians. It's in the same way as Adorno says in his philosophy of music, that after the second Viennese school, this atonal revolution, Schoenberg, Weber, and so on, you cannot simply go on writing the classical late romantic tonal music as if nothing happened. Of course you can do it, but it's kitsch. For example, this is why, maybe in a little bit too harsh way for Adorno, composers like Tchaikovsky, Rachmaninoff especially, and so on, are simply kitsch. They try to compose as if there was no Adorno. And in this same way, isn't there something non-authentic to still be a Hegelian? It's simply ridiculous, measured by the realities of our post-Hegelian universe. Now, what is the predominant Hegelian strategy to counter this reproach? It is the one that I reject. It is what I'm ironically tempted to call the deflated image of Hegel.